This is Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera. Alright, we just finished the mirror. We went back and we changed things that were supposed to happen in the mirror. So we didn't do what she wanted us to do. So now we're going to find out what the aftermath of that is. What? What did you do? I remember Tash cutting me. I see the holes in my mind. I remember him forcing me to the ground, tearing out my history with his tides. But I have other memories now. They're real. Tash didn't do it. He could have, but he didn't. He tried, but didn't. He didn't touch me. He didn't violate me, but I remember his mind pushing at me, but no. She holds her head in her hands, shaking, her voice becoming thick. 2 strands of memory. This is pulling me apart. She looks up at you, tears streaming down her cheeks. No, it's pulling me back together. I remember now. That hole it's almost gone. You changed reality. You changed it. She stands, drying her tears with her sleeves. I don't know if you meant to do that, but you've done more than your part of the deal. You asked about the resonance chamber. I know it. Mazov's the guy you want. He can fix anything. He might have even helped design the chamber you're talking about. Your best bet is to look for him in the cast-off sanctuary, Miel Avest. There's a cast-off sanctuary? It's a sanctum, a refuge, created by the First and our sire. It's shielded from the sorrow, supposedly. She shrugs. Our siblings like to hide there until they can't stand each other's company anymore. Can you take me there? I could use your help. I'll take you, but don't expect me to hold your hand. Probably better that I bring you personally anyway. Keep an eye on you. Make sure you don't get lost or killed. She walks to her table and unrolls a map of the Sagas Protectorate. You're not going to find it by walking there. The entrance is a secret, known only to our kind. Here. She points to a spot on the map, many kilometers to the northeast of Sagas Cliffs. The Valley of Dead Heroes. There's a hidden portal in the necropolis, and in case something happens to me, memorize this. She writes the numbers 3431 down on a slip of paper, holds it in front of your eyes for several seconds, then crumples it in her hand. Watch me forget that. In before I forget 3431. It's a code. It'll make sense when we get to the necropolis. Now I have a 3-rogue party. Oh, yeah, I guess I do. Yes, I do. It'll make sense when we get to the necropolis. You'll need to hire an airship to get to the valley. That ladder leads to the caravanserai. We should be able to hire a vessel there without too much difficulty. With a glance around the cave, she says, Can't say I'll be sad to leave this behind. Thank you. Can I ask you some other questions?
Making a note.
Quest complete. XP gained. Fine. What do you want? Can you tell me about Miel Avest again? It's a sanctuary for our kind, supposedly from the sorrow, but more realistically it's a sanctuary from the endless fighting. Adiras, she's like the mother of the place, enforces a strict non-violence policy in there. What's the story with you and the other cast-offs? She gives you a long, slow look. You were in the mirror. You saw what happened. I wanted to make a difference, and they pissed on my hopes. After that debacle, I killed Tash and fell out with the rest of them. She frowns. Conflict between the First and the changing gods swallows all our siblings, one way or another. I didn't want that. I wanted to make my own way. They weren't pleased. And here I am. No worse for the lack of their company. What's the story with you and the other cast-offs again? They betrayed me, so I betrayed them. Very few of them trust me now, and good riddance. Who's the first? The first cast-off? She was, or she claimed to be. She's dead now. She said she'd fight for all of us. They say she was the one who founded Miel Avest for our sakes. Most of our siblings remember her as a hero. She spits in the corner. Most of them never actually knew her. She was driven, I'll give her that. Even with her decaying body, with all its hurts and wounds, she found masks to cover herself and the strength not to hurt, and she kept plowing on. First cast off. What do you know about the first again? Most of our siblings remember her as a hero who died protecting them from our sire's machinations. Most of them didn't know her like I did. What can you tell me about the changing god? Brilliant, charming, and ruthlessly self-centered. More blood on his hands than I'll ever have. Legend says he wiped out the Tabat, a nearly complete genocide. He left one alive as an object lesson, one of their generals enslaved in the city to teach his enemies not to cross him. What else can you tell me about the changing god? There is no man who cares more about himself. The fact that he keeps his immortality to himself is proof of that. How many cast-offs are there, anyway? She shrugs. Hundreds? Who knows? Supposedly the changing god went to other worlds, bent time and space, slipped through dimensions, and he always had his spare bodies with him. There could be thousands, millions for all I know. What can you tell me about this place? This is the Cave of the Last Words. It was a thieves' hole until the tunnel leading in collapsed. 500-600 years ago, it was where the scum of the city would slip away from the city guard. Before there were levies, before the slave families, the truly desperate lawbreakers fled here when they had no other options. Yeah, I know you like the changing god, Anonymous. You always like whoever is as evil and sociopathic as possible, generally. Is you and Jen are the same way like that. You're both a couple of edgelords. That there, that's the suicide tunnel, she points. The words on the cave walls, those are the final words of people with nothing left to lose, etched into the bedrock of the city, burned in and burned out by the hopeless. A fitting metaphor. See, they have a special tunnel just for suicide in their city. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. My city doesn't have that. And then there's a ledge at the end of the tunnel, just in case those words are inspirational. Her crooked grin resurfaces. The view is also quite nice. You tell me about the Cave of Last Words again. It's an old thieves' hole. Story is that Chila hid here before she became famous. It was old even then, a place where suicides and the desperate would come to launch their last big score, escaping life on their own terms. How did you find this place? I listened to the stories of old thieves. I went to the Bloom and listened to the stories of Chila. I made friends with the Sticka and asked them if they knew about a place like this. Turns out they did. Does it end in the free kitchen for the homeless? I don't think so. Can you tell me how you found this place again? I listened. The rest of her reply is a long, cold stare. Thank you, Matkina. Let's go. Right. The Matkina's now on the crew. I gained a thingy. Alright, so now it's either extra effort or stat pools. So I'm going to go stat pools. I'm gonna get some more intellect.
I understand now.
And see if there's anything else we can talk to her about.
All right, out with it.
Out with what? Every new cast-off gets strange with older cast-offs. If you're not feeling it now, you will. You look at me and you realize that we were all vessels for the same consciousness, and then you start wondering if we share anything else. She shrugs. We're all a bunch of arrogant preeners with delusions of greatness. That might be about it. Let's talk about our siblings. Here it comes. She acts as if she's readying herself for a storm. I'm ready for the litany. All you newborns have it. All right, go. What can you tell me about Miela Vest? Cast-offs needed a place to hide from the sorrow and work on a way to defeat it. The bloom eats people, so they couldn't hide there. The first and our worthless sire built Miela Vest so that they could research in peace. The place became a beacon for our kind, and people started to put up homes inside the shields. After our sister and our father had their falling out and started the endless battle. Oh, that's what the endless battle is. It's the battle between the first cast-off and the changing god. Siblings, more like mortal rivals. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're not, obviously not literally siblings. The rest of them chose sides. For most people, it seems like this is some great existential struggle, but it's just a family squabble that got out of hand. Anyway, things got bad, the sorrow started making more appearances, and people needed a place to hide, so Miela Vest became neutral ground. I'd like to hear about Miela Vest again. The shields keep the place hidden from the sorrow, and it's neutral ground for the bickering that surrounds the endless battle. And it's a great place for our family to hide from the world and pretend they're doing good. How have you avoided the sorrow? What can you tell me about it? I know little more than you. They might know more in Miela Vest. What I can tell you for sure is that it hates us cast-offs. You're never sure when it'll come. He shivers slightly. It comes for each of us, like we're calling to it. As for how I avoid the sorrow, well, you ever get the feeling that someone's looking at you? The sorrow's attention is like that, except that it feels like you've made an enemy. The creeping paranoia that it's coming for you. Slow urgency mounts, and you start to feel like you need to lash out. But what I do, I run. I leave and I don't come back. Try to throw off whatever scent it's picked up, and after a while the pressure eases and I can come back again. This sounds a whole lot like my experience with depression. The sorrow is quite literal. Don't try to go somewhere safe, like Miela Vest. It'll find me eventually. It always finds us. The best we can do is postpone the inevitable. I want to ask about the sorrow again. All I know is rumor and conjecture. Get to Miela Vest, they'll know more there. I wanted to talk about our siblings, the other cast-offs. I think people with all the gifts we have would be happier, but we're miserable misfits. Hundreds of us through time, and all bad people. But you should meet them. That's why we're going to Miela Vest. I'll say this once. You were in the mirror. You saw what happened. I wanted to make a difference, and they pissed on my hopes. She frowns. Oh, she said this exact thing before. We all use each other for our own ends, and someone always gets broken at the end of it. She gives you a dark look. Even us. Get that straight. You and me, we're both using each other right now. It'll profit us both, but someone's bound to get hurt. If only we could play a Bale Spawn. Well, you can play a Bale Spawn if you play Baldur's Gate. I want you to talk about other cast-offs again. You know where a good place to talk to other cast-offs is? Miela Vest. We should go there. Let's talk about the Changing God. He's a greedy, manipulative, domineering fool. I've heard he's also quite charming, witty, and an absolute genius. I suppose he'd have to be, given how long he's managed to keep ahead of the sorrow. But I've never met him, as far as I know, so the only judgment I have on the man is what I've heard from others. I mean, our father inspired a cult. I assume you've met Casmine and Mimian? Ugh. What's missing from their lives that they have to pin their hopes on us? Casmine sees power and wants it to reflect on her. Mimian sees knowledge and hopes it will shine in him. You're quite the optimist, aren't you? Do you think they're going to get what they want by following the likes of us? Wonder if she'll put a quest objective mark on your map if you ask her about cast-offs again. I think she already has. You think they're going to get what they want by following the likes of us? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on whether they're looking at us as people or as avatars of our sire. Let me put that to rest right now. They see us as avatars. To them, we don't have feelings or ambitions except for those our Creator placed in us. I've had this conversation with them, and they treated every word like a revelation. I wasn't saying anything particular, but in their minds it was all epiphanies. What I'm saying is, I guess, don't trust the people who elevate you. You can't do anything wrong to them until you do, at which point they turn on you. Steer clear of the true believers. That's good advice, actually. It's good advice. Actually, let me ask about something else. Her lip curls slightly, but she says nothing. So, what's your story? She gives you a slow, evaluating look. You were a part of my story. What else did you need to know? How did you become an assassin, anyway? A series of regrettable mistakes. Maybe I'll tell you about them someday, but not now. How did Neng lose his eyes? He got himself crosswise with the wrong people, and he had an accident. This game is like story time times 1,000. Yeah, it is, Devin. No input from Aragorn or whatever? No. Can you tell me how Ning lost his eyes again? Had an accident. An avoidable accident. I feel like she was responsible for Neng losing his eyes. Did you ever see Paj Reckon again? Once, in Miela Vest. Paj didn't even remember Cone Village. She didn't remember the people she sacrificed for her pointless, endless war, and she couldn't even understand why I'd care. I'd have had her throat if Adiris hadn't held me back, upheld her precious peace. And then when Paj was gone and I'd calmed down, one of the others asked me what the problem was. He said the villagers would all have been dead in a few decades anyway. I vowed I'd never think like that. But here I am, a couple centuries later. Wow, so it's been a couple centuries since that thing happened in the mirror. So Matkina is very old. People seem to die too fast and too young, and I can't let myself care. He scuffs the dirt. Immortality is a curse, especially when your companions in an eternity are cast-offs. Tell me about the time you saw Paj Reckon again. No. He cursed me with a perspective I didn't want, and I hate her for it. I've wanted to talk to you about what happened to you. After I left Tash's body in the mirror. I don't know when you left. Tash wiped my memories and... Wait. No. No, he went off with the first militia. I came back to find him and we had words. I left his burned corpse in a shallow grave and then... He shrugs eloquently. I assume the scavengers took it. After that, I traveled the world. I went back to Colne to remind myself what humanity does to the strange and different. I realized I had no purpose. I went to Miela Vest to see what our brethren were doing. They hadn't changed at all. They told me to gather power. She barks a laugh. Our Creator made us many things, but most of all, he made us mad for strength in all its forms. I scorned their advice, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized the truth. When you're powerful, people can't hurt you. Her voice drops. Or the ones you love. Yeah, except they really can, though. I mean, that's not really how that works. It might be that power paints a target on those you love. I thought about that, but at least when you have that strength, you can fight back. You won't be helpless. She sighs and then lets the familiar hardness creep back into her voice. So I came to Sega's Cliffs. I started working. One of our brothers hired me, and then he betrayed me. I thought he'd help me, but just like Paz, just like the First, just like Tash, he turned on me. That's when I learned that I can't trust anyone. So I struck back at him, hard. It was then that I decided to make my own organization. That lasted for about a decade. The endless politics inside the group, the recriminations, fighting against other gangs, the inevitable betrayals. Ugh. I gave up on that and went solo. Eventually, I went back to the Bloom and worked for the Memavira. The old one, I mean. The what? Those were good years. I felt like I belonged. There was friction, to be sure, but we were a team. And then my favorite mortal got betrayed too. Crosses her arms. You want to know why I was hiding before you found me? It's because I learned that I'm best on my own. If you don't have people, you can't be betrayed. There, you've got your story. Let's not talk about that anymore. I have other questions, if you don't mind. Memavira, duh, it's like you never played this game before. How are you holding up? She shrugs. Do you actually care? Her lip curls slightly, but she says nothing. I wanted to talk about the people we're traveling with. Oh, gossip. She raises an eyebrow. How exciting. I bet you have some opinions about Allegaern. Dour, self-righteous, carrying the world's grief on his back. He'd have made a good cast-off. I'd kill myself first. See? Tattoos, a tendency toward recreational suicide. All you're missing is the secret handshake. Secret handshake? Oops, I shouldn't have said anything. So... tell me about Tibir. He points somewhere. Cover your pouch before looking. You wound me, madam. I'm a professional. So what? You stab them in the side and snatch... Wait. Where is my pouch? In professional hands, I assure you. Fucking Tibir. Too bad you don't have the pink tide. She's so broken and alone, you should totally save her with your love. Yeah, totally. I'll get right on that. I'll get right on that, Anonymous. Great. What do you think of Matkina?
I don't think about her. You poke predators, they tend to poke back. I'll keep my distance, thanks.
I appreciate that. You smell like an old coat that's been left out in the rain.
Didn't we find you living in a cave? I wouldn't start down the path of who smells worse if I were you.
Yes, lass?
Give me a name and I'll give you my thoughts.
Matkina. Matkina.
Dangerous one, isn't she? All blades and edges. I try not to have opinions about people who slit throats for a living.
Relax. No one's paid me to kill you. Yet, anyway.
Ah, that's a comfort, he says, rolling his eyes.
Actually, let's move on.
Alright, let's look around in here now.
Around in here. There's the ladder. The clay containers smell of cheap wine and spoiled food. A dirty wash basin sits atop a barrel of stagnant water. While I was in Tash's Mere, I somehow managed to change Matkina's past, and her memories have all been restored. She told me that the cast-off I'm seeking is named Mazoff. He's a master artificer, and I should be able to find him at a secret refuge called Miela Vest. Aragorn is one sassy bum? Yeah, he is. I've learned the name of the cast-off who helped build the resonance chamber. He's called Mazoff. Talented builder and artificer. I hope to find him in Miela Vest, a refuge of sorts for my cast-off siblings. Seek passage to the Valley of Dead Heroes. Miela Vest is hidden from prying eyes. It can only be accessed from the first cast-off's tomb in the Valley of Dead Heroes. I can hire an airship at the caravanserai to take me to the valley. Alright, so here's Matkina. She's a furtive jack who murders. Her thing is just who murders. Furtive. Matkina is the kind of ally you want at your side rather than watching your back. Murders. Matkina is the deadliest assassin in the Protectorate and known as such. Wow. Got 27 health. He's tier 2. She's got one... Oh, look at all that speed. She got a lot of speed. And speed edge. And max effort of 4. So she's kind of... whoop-ass machine. Oh my god, look how much evasion she has. Wow. She's got flex skill, so all three of us have flex skill. She's got infused weapon, just like I do. She's got trained without armor. She's got... Who needs armor? It's slow and cumbersome, and that extra weight might just get you killed. You prefer speed and mobility anyway. Amorotic Wound. If Matkina is hidden, or the target is blinded, gain plus 20% on attacks, and confer or extend blinded on the target. Oh, wow. If she pops out of hidden, she hits somebody for some whoop-ass, makes them blind, and then because they're blind, she gets to keep hitting them for some whoop-ass and making them stay blind. That's strong. If she can fucking ever be hidden, realistically. Matkina prefers to stalk the battlefield unseen. So long as she's undetected, her attacks inflict deeper wounds on her enemies and blind them with the tidal energies swirling about her. She's also got cast-off vitality. Mortal wounds are nothing to a cast-off. When Matkina falls in combat, the injuries that felled her will knit back together with only a scar to mark where they had once been. She never gains lasting damage when knocked unconscious. She's got Warp Dash. Place exists under space, a way to connect 2 points by folding the fabric of reality. By touching these points together, you can almost be in 2 places at once. and the resulting burst of energy slows your foes. So you teleport, and you attack all enemies within short range of the port, and you hobble them. That's interesting. Trained Infiltrator. All other party members get plus 5% Deception and plus 5% Stealth. Cast-off's quiet, calculated presence inspires her allies to greater heights of Deception and Stealth. She's got 2 in Perception. Man, everybody got Perception. I got 2 in Perception. She got 2 in Perception. She got 1 in Quick Fingers and 2 in Stealth. 1 in Light Weapons. She looks like such an edge lord. She has a sonic blade. The fine glowing tracery that decorates the length of the blade gives off an eerie purple light. You hear a soft humming coming from it, and you feel it tremble slightly in your grip, as if it is eager to attack. Looks pretty cool. Does 4 damage. It's a light weapon. On hit, gives them a sonic disruption that lowers their armor. Cool. She's got Makina's leather armor, only usable by her. 2 armor, 3 resistance. Makina's leather breastplate appears roughly made, but is of good quality. It is light and flexible, but offers her some measure of protection. And Makina's cloak. It's a simple cloth garment, ordinary, but for several weightless canisters attached to it. These devices appear to absorb energies. All pretty interesting. Alright. This works. Oh, now my dominant tides are blue and gold. I'm mixed. That's pretty cool how it shows the 2 different energies glowing on there. We know about the blue tide. The gold tide represents empathy, compassion, and sacrifice. People attuned to this tide consider the needs of those they care about to be greater than any other consideration. Martyrs, philanthropists, avengers, and guardians are often attuned to this tide. Cool. Pretty wash basin sits atop a barrel of stagnant water. How many things can she use? 2. Okay. Big pit right there. A tunnel once led in this direction, but the ceiling has collapsed. The final words of countless men and women are scrawled upon the stone wall. Some apologize to loved ones, while others rage against an injustice or a slight. A few left only their names. And that leads out to the suicide balcony or whatever. What do we have here? A father teller. This small polished disc looks like a handheld mirror, but anyone who looks into it sees an image of their father, or their species equivalent, looking back at them, mirroring their every move. When you hold it, though, all you see is your own face. Interesting. Maybe I am the changing god. That'd be interesting, because it's possible, right? Like, we don't actually know whether or not you're the changing god. But I kind of think I'm not. Fleetfoot moss and some shins. Alright, let's check out the pit. The hole in the corner is large, about 2 meters across. It was clearly carved, but not by human hands. It leads into a dark tunnel. You know that it was dug by the Sticka and leads to the underbelly. Ah, okay. So we can go back to the underbelly this way. We can go up to Caravanserai this way. Or we can go out onto the interesting balcony out here. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. There's some sort of strange pod. Looks like a spaceship or something. Or an escape pod from a spaceship. Okay, here we are at Caravanserai, but we're out here on this little ledge. Ah, and there's a thing I can climb over here. Can see something off there in the distance. I think that's the bloom. Let's go up this thing. A sheer cliff rises above the ledge. Its surface is rough and jagged. There are enough handholds that it looks climbable, but it wouldn't be easy. Well, let's try to climb it. 20% chance? Wow. Matt Keena should be good at it, though. He's got 40. She's got 40. Go up to 60. Critical success. Stat pool restored. The cliff face is deceptive. Holds that look like they'll crumble in your hands stay firm, while solid-looking protrusions crumble like they were made of sand. With careful planning, though, you make it all the way to the top. Whoa, look at this thing. A welcome blast of wind caresses your face at the cliff top. Your companions follow the path you blazed for them. We've got a crazy dome of crazy up here. Hey, hold on. Let's just come take a look around. Ancient God Cultist. Memovira. Oh, the Memovira. Gibra Merchant. We got another bullshit race. Another strange looking race with a fin head. Yeah, that's definitely the bloom over there. Interesting looking banners. What's this? Most of the cliff top is obscured by a dome of energy. When you get close to it, the air hums and your hair stands on end. Try to see what's inside the dome. The air sizzles as you get closer, popping across your skin like invisible jumping beetles. When you are within arm's reach, a control interface appears in the air in front of you. It has a glowing circle with strange symbols floating at the edges and a vertical bar next to it. When you step back again, the interface disappears. Whatever energy forms this dome is completely opaque. You can't see anything through it. Oddly, though, you can see the shadows of the cliffs and birds on the other side. Try to see inside it again. No matter how close you get, you can't see anything inside, only the shadows of whatever lies beyond. Let's try to touch the Dome of Energy and see what happens. Ow. Ow. That wasn't maybe the best idea. The air heats up, dancing across your skin like fire. Ignoring the minor pain, you press 2 fingers against the surface of the dome. Suddenly, your fingers are stuck fast to the dome's energy. The burning intensifies and smoke rises from your fingertips. Screaming, you manage to wrench your fingers away from the dome, stumble, and fall to the ground. Okay, that was not my smartest move. I'd like to think experiences like this would teach you something, but I know better. Let's try to study the interface with Lore Mystical. I got a 50%. He's got a 50%. He's got a 30. He's got a 30. I could get it up to a 70 and go down to 5. I'll have him do it. The circle is likely a place to put one's hand or face. Probably the former, since the heat from the dome might burn your face. Presumably, someone with the proper authority could open the dome by using the holographic bar on the side as a kind of latch. The symbols around the circle are unfamiliar, suggesting this installation is very old, perhaps predating the truth. Were I the one making a defense system for something on a cliff top, I would make it a knockback. That's a good point, Anonymous. That would have been good. Whoever created this dome, then, wanted to keep what was inside a secret from anyone except those to whom he or she had given access. Let's try to use the interface to open the dome. As soon as you place your hand in the circle, the symbols light up and spin rapidly. Apparently you have the authority to enter. You slide your other hand up the bar on the side. The interface disappears. The air cools immediately and the dome fades until it is gone entirely. Well, that was easy. Wow, look at this thing. So this looks very interesting. There's a little thingy and there's another little thingy. There's goodies. There's a war mask. This dark mask appears to be made of wood, yet it feels like cold metal to the touch. When you put it to your face, you hear the sound of war drums beating in the distance. That's pretty cool. There's also the Eyes of the Finite. It's an artifact. This is a small glass plate fashioned into a pin, though it can hardly be called a fashion item, as a crowd of otherworldly eyes competes to look out through the glass into the curious world that you inhabit. The eyes reveal weaknesses in foes, especially those already weakened. Gives me Sucker Punch, apparently. So now, if I wanted to use that, it would take the place of Viscera Sprig. Let's say I put this on. I don't see Sucker Punch. Uses 1 might. I think I'm going to put Viscera Sprig on him. That's kind of an annoying sound that it's making. I have a lot of oddities to sell. The machine hums softly. An orange glow appears beneath its dark, glossy surface. A large alien symbol dominates the space, with words in a smaller script on the side, but you cannot understand the writing. Even so, it feels like you've seen the writing somewhere before. Oh boy. Oh boy, 20% chance on anamnesis. That's terrible. Terrible. Well, I guess we're gonna try to save scum this. Yeah, no surprise there. Failure. Only 5 reloads on average. Come on, says Anonymous. I should probably spend a point of intellect here so that I have a 40% chance instead of 20. Because trying to save scum it on 20 is just going to be ridiculous. Actually, hold on. Let's look at this thing first. What do you think this guy's thinking? He's just looking right here. The dome just went down. That dome that's probably been there forever, basically. And there's some people over here fucking with this thing now. He's just got to be like, what? Can I talk to him from here? No? Okay. Holographic panel appears to be a control interface. In the center is what looks like a utility map of Sega's cliffs. It's surrounded by a number of symbols you cannot immediately identify, and in the upper right quadrant is some sort of cube within a cube. Strange as the panel is, you can't shake a strong sense of familiarity about it. Try to anamnesis this. 20%. God, why is it so bad? No. Failure. I don't want to fail. He's thinking another fresh cast-off fucking with Soulforge, huh? I wonder how soon the shield comes back this time. Maybe you're right. No, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail, guys. Man, all this failing, it's as if Saito is here. Not good. Not good. I need to be better at this. See, I knew anamnesis was going to be a really important skill. You use that fucking thing all the time. All the time. Alright, that time I got it. Had to spend a point. After studying the text for several minutes, you begin to see, or perhaps simply remember, patterns in the words. In a flash, the purpose of the device comes back to you. This is an omniscope, a device used to view locations from afar. The large alien symbol is actually an inhuman handprint. The longer list next to it is a list of location names, and the shorter list denotes ranges of time, how far back in time the omniscope should look. You discover that you can actually read them all. Cool. Well, let's look at the list of locations. There are 8 locations listed, all of them within or near Sega's cliffs. Selecting one will presumably shift the omniscope to look in that direction. Caravanserai is currently selected. Alright, we're not going to change the selection right now. Let's look at the list of approximate times. There are 3 numbers here, representing a rough time frame, perhaps days, months, or years. The numbers are strange, but you are fairly certain you understand their meaning. Hey, Honey Joe Blue, how you doing? You missed one giveaway, yeah. I did give away a copy a little bit ago, but I'm going to give away another one a little later tonight. But I'm going to be taking a break here in just a few minutes, and then coming back. The current selection is 1, which you take to mean the present. 128 to look at the distant past, 12 to look at the recent past. Change the readout selections at random. Place your hand on the alien handprint. As soon as you place your hand on the surface, the machine reacts. The glowing items on the 2 lists blink and draw lines to a rectangle, a view screen that wasn't there before. Hey, Mitchity Match, how you doing? The game's good. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Screen shows the plateau of Caravanserai. It looks exactly the same as the scene before you. Okay. Let's look at the recent past. You touch the number and it glows brighter than the others. The machine's humming changes in timbre. The screen shows the plateau of Caravanserai. The image in the view screen changes rapidly, showing Caravanserai over days and weeks. Travelers come and go. They're the ships with the fish-like passengers or goods marked for Moral Jolios remain in their docks for a long time. I wonder what that means. Was there a time that maybe there was not allowed travel or trade back and forth with that place? Let's go to the distant past. The image in the view screen changes rapidly, showing Caravanserai over many years. The docks have been a bustling center of trade for as far back in time as you can see. In the earliest recorded time, you can see 2 figures standing atop this very observation platform, a male and a female. Bright flashes and gouts of smoke suggest a great battle taking place along the cliffs below, until the man activates something on the control panel. A faint veil of energy encircles the city and the tumult suddenly ends. Ah, this is where the Changing God activated his city protecting device from. That's cool. Alex says, just saw the email from Pillars 2 talking about Tides of Numenera. Good guys, Obsidian. Yeah, inXile and Obsidian always shout out each other's games. They do that all the time, for sure. Their Kickstarter projects or the release of their games, they always like sort of plug for each other, which is pretty cool. Alright, well, we're going to look at all of these other locations on all of these times. You know we're going to. See what there is to see. But we're going to have to do that in our next episode. That is going to do it for this one. So, if you're watching on YouTube, that's the end of the episode. So thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera.